Aloha, my friends. Happy Saturday. Saturday, an interesting day ruled by the planet Saturn. Saturn being about work, about discipline, about getting things done. Interesting how Saturdays are often the day we do all of our chores and errands. So much fun out there for you as you get everything accomplished you need to do to have some good fun with this Saturday. Have you been noticing all of these photographs of the Aurora Borealis happening in places as far south as Ukiah and Grass Valley, Nevada City here in California? Wow, have you been wondering what is up with that and what is going on? And so we have been experiencing here on Earth over the last several days and over the last several years, really, a really increased level of solar flare activity. And so what is a solar flare? So a solar flare, I'm going to go into that just a bit, but essentially it's causing increased levels of solar radiation to hit our planet. And some of the things that that can cause is actually blackouts and knockout of the internet, as well as certain radio frequencies. And so I saw a friend post yesterday that their internet was down for several hours. And so that's one of the challenges with solar flares, is that they do affect our technological era where so much of what we do is based online. Okay, so I wanted to dive into and just share briefly this article, mainstream article I found online about this solar flare activity and what does it mean and how has it been affecting us. Very interesting. So let me bring up that article for you now. Okay, let's see here. And we can look it over together. I just want to give you the updates because not only are we, in a world with stars and planets and moons and suns that affect us, but the solar activity, because it has been increasing to such a profound level, is also affecting us quite a lot. Okay. So, just going to close these out. What is going on with this solar flare activity? Okay. So, whew, we have been getting rocked by the biggest solar storms in decades, and the potential effects have people in charge of power grids, communication systems, and satellites on edge. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says there have been measurable effects and impacts from the geomagnetic storm that has been visible as Aurora across vast swaths of the Northern Hemisphere. So far, no reports of major damage. No. Fantastic. There's been some degradation and loss to communication systems that rely on high-frequency radio waves, NOAA told NPR, as well as some preliminary indications of irregularities in power systems. Simply put, the power grid operators have been busy since yesterday working to keep proper regulated current flowing without disruption. So what is this? And then here's, of course, a picture of the sun showing, all of the increased solar activity. We have been experiencing a G5 or extreme geomagnetic storm. It's the first G5 storm to hit the planet since 2003, when a similar event temporarily knocked out power in part of Sweden and damaged electrical transformers in South Africa. Awesome. So I guess maybe the solar storm is also affecting my internet, but we'll go back. We'll keep continuing on here. Okay. So the source of the solar storm is a cluster of sunspots on the sun's surface that is 17 times the diameter of the Earth. The spots are filled with tangled magnetic fields that can act as slingshots, throwing huge quantities of charged particles towards our planet. These events, known as coronal mass ejections, become more common during the peak of the sun's 11-year solar cycle. So very interesting that today is May 11th. It was 11:22 when I set the astrological chart for today, which is very interesting. Usually, these coronal mass ejections miss the Earth, but this time, NOAA says several have headed directly toward our planet, and the agency predicted that several waves of flares will continue to slam into the Earth over the next few days. So the most disruptive solar storm ever recorded was in 1859 and known as the Carrington event. It generated shimmering auroras that were visible as far south as Mexico and Hawaii. It fried telegraph systems throughout Europe and North America. While this geomagnetic storm will not be as strong, the world has grown more reliant on electronics and electrical systems. Depending on the orientation of the storm's magnetic field, it could induce unexpected electrical currents in long-distance power lines. Those currents could cause safety systems to flip, triggering temporary power outages, internet disruptions in some areas. And of course, someone said here, my cat just experienced the Aurora Borealis, one of the world's most radiant natural phenomena, and she doesn't care. I thought that was hilarious. It says here, the storm is also likely to disrupt the ionosphere, a section of Earth's atmosphere filled with charged particles. Some long-distance radio transmissions use the ionosphere to bounce signals around the globe, and those signals will likely be disrupted. The particles may also refract and otherwise scramble signals from the global positioning system, according to Rob Steenberg, a space scientist with NOAA. Those effects can linger for a few days after the storm. Said it's unclear just how bad the disruptions will be. While more dependent than ever on GPS, there are also more satellites in orbit. Moreover, the anomalies from the storm are constantly shifting through the ionosphere like ripples in a pool. So some of the effects it might have, it could damage satellites. It could increase atmospheric drag, causing some satellites to sink toward the Earth. These changes to orbit cause challenges, right? Because we depend so much on these satellites now for so many of the things that we do. So it seems like things are going to be just fine. But I'm more interested in the physiological energy effects of having such increased solar flare activity. And these pictures of the Aurora Borealis, they're just simply magnificent. So please keep posting them from all over the world. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it's really a gift, in my opinion. And I just wanted to bring you the narrative story about what's happening. And then I wanted to dive into some of the astrology around it. And I also wanted to talk about some of the energy effects that this may be causing for all of us out there. So what happens to the human body when there's increased radiation, light radiation from the sun? And so imagine for a minute that our bodies, our physiological systems are like a cup of water. Down at the bottom, there's a bit of water, and in the bottom, there's some tea leaves. And those tea leaves represent any toxicity that we may have. So emotions, toxins, trauma, bacteria, you name it. All of us have some kind of pool of unresolved stuff in our bodies. And so imagine that increased solar radiation that's coming, and you can see it through the sun coming through on my camera here. It's like pouring immense amounts of water into your cup. And so it's going to cause whatever's in the depths of you, right? Other resolved emotions and toxins, etc. It's going to pull it up to the surface. And so what that can cause is increased tiredness. Wow, that light is just phenomenal. Very powerful light rays, right? It can cause tiredness. It can cause fatigue. It can cause emotional triggering. So if you got upset, intensely upset over the last week during this intense solar storm, it's still happening, by the way, that could have been just whatever was unresolved in you emotionally being brought up to the surface. It could also be any toxins in your body. And so basically, in essence, what this increased solar flare activity is like a cleanse. Okay, it's like an energetic cleanse. It's like we've all been taken into the sauna. And so what happens to the body when we go into a sauna? Well, it pulls up the toxins out of our body. We sweat it out, we clear it out, we cleanse it out. And so how to function in a world where we have increased amounts of solar radiation. And my friends, this is probably not going to stop anytime soon. As far as what I've followed in terms of solar activity, it's only increasing. And so, what do we do as human beings on this earth to sort of evolve with the effect of that increased solar radiation? Well, one thing is to clean up our diets, because whatever we're eating, just imagine that the food that we eat, what would happen to it if you let it sit in the hot sun? Now imagine you eat that food and then you go out into the hot sun. That hot sun is going to have a similar effect on whatever type of food it is you're eating. So it is advised, it's recommended with increased solar activity to eat more raw food, right? To eat more salad without all the heavy dressings, just like light olive oil is nice, and lemon, maybe some vinegar, to eat more fruit, to eat organic food so you don't have the pesticides. Imagine you eat food covered in pesticides, non-organic food, and then you go out into a hot solar chamber. All those pesticides are going to be pulled up out of your body, and it's going to just cause havoc with how you feel. Okay, so our diet and our nutrition and what we're eating and our patterns of sleep as well as exercise become hugely important with increased solar activity. So one, increase the amount of raw food, salad, and fruit that you're eating. Increase your hydration, coconut water, lemon water, mint water. Just keep getting those electrolytes in your body. You're going to need more of them because the solar radiation, even if you're not in the sun, is still causing your body to have to work a bit harder. Okay, so coconut water, electrolytes, more fruits, more veggies. You want to eat lighter. You want to eat in a way that is a purifying diet because the sun is purifying us. It's lifting our vibration. It's raising the frequency on the planet. And so in order to match it, in order to align to it, we have to change the fuel that we use. According to one channeler that I follow, this is Maria on YouTube. She's amazing, by the way. She said that as a planetary consciousness, we are evolving into a much higher solar radiation level. And so she said that in order to match this raise in frequency, our diet is going to be hugely important, like increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables and decreasing, meat and dairy, and getting more in tune with nature, right? Eating food that we grow from the land, right? This also brings up the idea of us needing to create potentially more new age communities where we grow our own food, we have our own water supply, and we're in charge of the basics, right? Because if the solar flare activity, as it continues, the chances of it being able to throw down the electrical grid raise up. And I actually watched an amazing interview by a very famous actor about his research into increased solar flare activity. Maybe I'll leave a link to that below, and how he says that that's only going to increase. And so we really need to be mindful of what would happen if the power grid went down. What would happen if the internet went down? Are you prepared? Do you have food and water? Do you have a horse and buggy? And so things that may be seeming like the past may become more valid, more important than ever as we go forward into the future. That's a, take what resonates for you. But the bottom line, increased vibration, increased solar radiation means we need to shift our diet. We need to shift our routines. So we want to purify our bodies more. We want to take things like zeolite, which helps to pull out the toxins. We want to drink more water with lemon. We want to decrease the heaviness emotionally and physically because we're all in sort of like a planetary cleanse. One thing that I really love to do is to start the day with a fruit drink with strawberries and apples and oranges and lemon and vitamin C powder. And it's so nourishing, and it's also energizing, and it helps the body to cleanse, and I feel amazing drinking these. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about this solar flare activity. It's a component of being a weather forecaster for the energetics of the planet, as well as the stars. We also have solar flare activity. It's only increasing. If you notice that you felt tired or you've been having mood swings, that's a cleanse reaction to increased light ray activity. And that's probably only going to continue. So there's some foods and herbs I highly recommend that, in homeopathy, we learn that like cures like. And so there's some foods that grow in very hot sun climates. And so eating those foods and increasing your intake of those foods is going to be very powerful for you, almost like a little medicine to help you deal with the increased light rays. And so what are those foods? Number one, dates. Dates grow in Southern California and they grow in the hottest climates of the world. They grow in places where the temperature gets upward of 100+ degrees all day long. Okay, and so dates are high in glucose, which they were used for thousands of years by those that lived in the Middle East to be a high octane fuel for exercise, for travel. They would eat those dates and it would fuel them to move across the desert. Okay, so dates are a very powerful fuel source for these high solar ray activity energies. Additionally, aloe vera. Aloe vera is one of the natural healers of sun. It is good both internally and externally. I recommend the white spotted aloe is much less bitter than other varieties. There's hundreds of varieties of aloe vera, but the white spotted aloe vera is incredibly powerful for healing the inside of your body and healing the outside from all this increased solar action. Third, calendula. Calendula is a bright orange flower. It's been used for thousands of years to help heal the skin. It's been used for babies for healing their sensitive skin. It is vibrating at the frequency of the sun. And so it gives really powerful energy for healing sunburns. So calendula oil is great for sunburns. It's great for dealing with high frequency solar activity. It's also delicious and edible. And so you can throw calendula flowers into your salads. Additionally, dandelion flowers are also, they look just like a sun. They're bright yellow. They're very good at detoxifying the liver. They're tasty and they're edible. You can throw those into your salads. But increasing all of your raw living foods, starting a herb garden, starting a vegetable garden, and increasing your connection to the earth and to the land. I've noticed most of my diet is fairly clean. I eat a lot of dates. I eat a lot of raw fruits and vegetables. And I've noticed that with this increased solar flare activity, I've been doing pretty great. And I've noticed that the heavier of the food I eat, the more I crash or slump with this high solar activity. So what we eat, what we do, our actions, our activities affect how we feel. And with the increased solar activity, really choosing foods that align to our greatest well-being are essential. So those are a couple of foods to assist you integrating these increased solar activities. You may notice, right? People whose diets are not very clean, whose stress levels are very high, who have been, sort of at a frantic pace with the increased solar activity, they may be going through some intense cycles right now as their bodies literally have to adjust to increased solar radiation. And so the world out there, that structure of society we're used to, may be a bit chaotic right now, especially if that solar grid, that solar rays bring down any power grids and the internet goes down, right? And people have to use cash. Could make longer lines, could make more stress and anxiety out there, people having trouble driving because there's increased solar energy distracting them. So be mindful, focus on yourself, stay in your own lane, and eat foods and drink things that are going to nourish you, get extra rest, purify yourself, jump on a trampoline, get out the toxins, and you'll feel more energized. You'll be more activated than you've ever been in your whole life. This is not a problem. It is an opportunity. It is not a negative. It is truly an evolvement and an advancement that we are ascending to higher and higher levels. So take it all in stride. You're powerful creators out there. utilize all the gifts that Mother Earth has for us. Get outside more, go get grounded, go get in the water, right? Whenever there's increased fire energy, go get in the water. And also, one of the reasons that it's so hot and fiery right now is we have Venus and the sun together in Aries. And it's the last couple of days of Aries until May 13th when the sun moves into Taurus. And so things should calm down quite a bit as the sun moves into Taurus. But that hot, fiery energy, it's going to be hot today, hot tomorrow. So enjoy it. Get out to the beach. Happy Mama's Day to all the mamas. Go celebrate your mamas. Go celebrate that divine feminine energy. Celebrate this beautiful earth. And I send you so much love, wishing you an absolutely beautiful day. If you haven't checked out the recordings of my last 5-day event, go ahead and do so. They're amazing. I'll leave a link to join the 5-day challenge so you can have access to that. And I have a special offer coming up that I will share more with you soon. If you have any questions, comment below. All right. Big love, my friends. Remember, we're co-creating a new earth. Get out there and enjoy the beauty that is possible. Big, big love.